everybody, this is the third video that is evaluating expansionary fiscal policy. Remember, fiscal policy is a type of demand side policy and it acts to increase aggregate demand because it's expansionary, so it's making the economy bigger. That's the aim of it. And fiscal policy is about government spending and taxation. So if it's expansionary, you're increasing government spending and or you're decreasing taxation. And the reason that it will cause an increase in aggregate demand is because we must remember the formula for aggregate demand is consumption plus investment plus government spending plus exports minus imports, so net exports. And if we have an increase in government spending, obviously this component of AD goes up. If we have a decrease in taxation, that means that people will have more money left over to spend, so consumption will go up. And also firms, if they're not paying as much tax on their profits, for example, you'll find that investment also goes up. So overall aggregate demand goes up. You can see that on the diagram here. And this causes real output to increase from Y to Y1. But this says if ceteris paribus does not apply. Remember, ceteris paribus means that everything else stays the same. So if that doesn't apply, so if everything else doesn't stay the same, and the one thing here that we'd assumed stays the same is this, and also various things to do with these three entities. So if ceteris paribus does not apply, what's simultaneous, so happening at the same time, events in the economy may counter means go against the impact of the policy, and the policy is to increase aggregate demand. So the things that you could talk about here in your evaluation are that whilst these might go up, there are actually reasons why perhaps these two won't go up, and also why this might actually go down overall. So starting off, the consumption might not go up, investment might not go up if the confidence of consumers and or firms isn't high. So you need to consider what's the confidence like in these two groups. And if consumers, for instance, are worried about losing their job, even though they are paying less tax, they might actually still save a lot of their money. They won't necessarily go out and spend all the extra money that they now have. They might save it. For firms, if they're worried that they might be seeing a slowdown in the economy, for example, or if they know that consumers don't have a lot of confidence, they might not want to invest as much, and therefore investment might not go up. So there are two things which will affect consumption and investment. Another thing that you need to think about is what's happening here. So if actually people are spending more money, but when they're doing that, they start importing more things, so imports might be going up. Maybe when they go shopping, they buy things which are made outside the UK in our case, and therefore actually imports go up. They're not buying things that we've made ourselves. Or maybe at the same time, perhaps the quality of our exports goes down, and therefore people abroad don't want our exports as much. If this happened, if imports went up, if this figure was bigger, and if exports went down, overall this number here, if these things happened, would be smaller. And therefore you'd be adding on a smaller number at the end, and therefore maybe your AD might actually go down, or the increase in AD won't be as big as you're expecting it to be from these three things happening. So these are some additional things to consider when you're assuming that expansionary fiscal policy increases aggregate demand. Maybe it won't.